So welcome back to New Jersey Homestead. Today I'm going to be going over how to start up a Franklin stove, which I happen to have one in my shop, and it's a fuel efficient way to keep the shed warm. Plenty of limbs come down. I mean, the bigger limbs I use for either making something out of, but a lot of them, they're not really usable, and rather than just simply chipping them or something, I'll use them for firewood. So join me today as we get it going for this cold December rainy day. So first thing you need to do is you need to identify how the flue system works. And some will have a flue at the back where you can control how much air is going out. Mine's an old one, it doesn't really do that. This is where you control how much air is going in, and that controls how big the burn is. When you're starting it, you want it wide open as possible. Now I usually put in a layer of wood on the bottom. A couple pieces of wood. And then usually I put in a piece that's a little more open, that is debarked, things like that. This will burn the easiest. And then I get a fire starter, which is one of these. Now these fire starters are basically paraffin with sawdust. And these are very nice to have. They really get started very easily. Put that in the corner. Back. Now a lot of the odds and ends chips that I have from woodworking, this is a perfect place to use them, as opposed to just throwing them out or whatever. They're great for using as kindling. They're good hardwoods, but they're very dried out by now. They usually take off very easily and start burning very easily, which is great. And one of these on top. And maybe this one off to the side. So there I pretty much have a pretty full Franklin stove. Now, it depends on the stove too. Some stoves you need to actually do the whole kindling thing, get it going, and then throw the big wood in. I find with this stove it takes pretty easily, so I just throw it all in at once. And one match should do it. So get that lit. So I have the kindling on there, that's going to go first. So I have the kindling right here, that's going to go first. A few logs here. Then once that catches, I have the bottom layer to kind of take off. Now this is a relatively small shop room, so if I have too much wood in here, actually it'll heat me out. I'll be down to my t-shirt trying to work one. And at some point, I've had to do this in the wintertime. I'm actually down to my t-shirt, and then I actually open windows up and turn the fan on to bring the cold outside air in because it's so hot in here. The great thing I find about a Franklin stove, like I said, you can use wood that you would otherwise toss or that has very little use, which is fantastic. The negative is it's a fire. Once it gets going, you really can't put it out. I mean, I suppose you could put water in there, but you would probably damage the Franklin stove. So once it's getting hot, you pretty much have to just open windows up, things like that. So what I find is one load, you let it heat up, and at some point during the day, if it's a very cold day, throw like one log on, another log on, like every 3-4 hours. And that's the one nice thing about a Franklin stove. It's very, very wood efficient. You're burning very little wood to keep warm. And you're saving a lot of electricity because you're not using that or some other type of heat, gas heat or something. So anyway, let's take a look. Take it off in the back. Some of the wood's starting to catch here. And we'll leave it alone and it should take off just fine. Quick little video on the New Jersey Homestead, how to start a fire with a Franklin stove. If you have any questions or comments or any videos you'd like to see, let me know. Otherwise, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of the New Jersey Homestead.